struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour. Gathered here in one strong body. Gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where our mission is to join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world, or as we say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. We're glad to have you with us this morning. We're a very welcoming congregation, and we appreciate your unique experiences, backgrounds, beliefs, and lifestyles. If you're one of our long-term members or have been here a short time, or if you're joining us today for the very first time, or if you're streaming with us this morning, we're delighted to have you. Welcome and to everyone. We do have a couple of announcements this morning prior to starting, and as a reminder, today is the last day to bid for the community auction items. We'll be taking down the bid sheets. They're around the church here this morning, and we'll be taking them down around 12:30 today after the second service. Bidding has gone well so far, and we encourage all of you to get in your last-minute bids today after the service. A couple of other announcements. At the back of the church today is a couple of sign-up areas. One is the usher team, we're looking for volunteers. The other is the risk management team. The sexton team works to keep everyone attending our church as safe and secure as possible. Joining the sexton team is a great way to meet people, serve the congregation, and learn how to respond calmly and appropriately to a range of emergency situations. It's a valuable skill set that will benefit you, your family, and the community outside the church as well. So I encourage people to go back and to the sign up for either the sexton group or the usher team. Also, I want to make an announcement about the flowers at the front of the church this morning. They're a unique set of flowers. Carol Bryan's sister had mailed them to her from Maui. They are live flowers, and they're pretty amazing. If you come up and take a look at them, they're quite incredible. So please take a moment to check out the flowers this morning. Also this morning, I want to just introduce briefly Lucas Leek. Lucas is our guest speaker today, and I will be giving a more formal introduction to Lucas prior to his sermon. So now, please take a moment to greet one another this morning. Please say hi to someone you have not met before, and say hello. have to do it again. I hear that. Thank you. I hated to interrupt that, but we'll have more time to greet one another and share our stories during social hour after the service, and which is, as always, includes great coffee, great conversation, and some excellent chocolate chip donuts back there at the sexton table. So cookies, not donuts, cookies. We now turn from our informal greeting of one another to formally begin our service by lighting our chalice. The symbol of Unitarian Universalism, the symbol of our unity and solidarity, of our openness and inclusion, of our community and our individual uniquenesses. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt where it has been found.
Good morning. Oh, I'm told I need to bring this down so everybody can actually hear me. So for the opening reflection, I'd like to read a poem by Maya Angelou. Lying, thinking last night, how to find my soul a home, where water is not thirsty and bread loaf is not stone. I came up with one thing, and I don't believe I'm wrong, that nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody but nobody can make it out here alone. There are some millionaires with money they can't use. Their wives run around like banshees. Their children sing the blues. They've got expensive doctors to cure their hearts of stone. But nobody, no, nobody, can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody but nobody can make it out here alone. Now, if you listen closely, I'll tell you what I know. Storm clouds are gathering. The wind is going to blow. The race of man is suffering, and I can hear the moan, because nobody, but nobody, can make it out here alone. Alone, all alone, nobody but nobody can make it out here alone.
We're going to do something a bit different with this first hymn of the day. It is number 1023, called Building Bridges. But I want you to grab your turquoise hymnals, because we'll be doing something that will have you not facing the screen. We are going to sing it through once after you stand together. In fact, let's sing it through twice so that you can kind of get it in your mind. And then we are going to have these people on this side of the sanctuary turn to the middle, as well as you turn to the middle aisle. And we'll start with this side, sing the song to these people, and then we'll switch, and this side will sing the song to these people, and then we will sing to each other. So please rise as you're willing and able. Building Bridges, twice through in unison to start. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Again, building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Now turn to the middle aisle. And this group start. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could build such sweet harmony. This side, building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony together. Building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
I'd like to ask the children to come forward for the children's story this morning, if you'd like to join me. Right over here. Morning. I'm going to have a seat right there. The story this morning comes from a picture book by Jacqueline Woodson, and it's titled Each Kindness. One morning, late in winter, our principal came into our classroom with a new student. "This is Maya," she said. I think I heard her whisper hello. We all stared at her. Her coat was open, and her clothes looked old, and they didn't fit her. She was wearing spring shoes, and one of the straps was broken. "Say good morning," our teacher said. But most of us were silent. The only open seat was next to me, so that's where Maya sat. Maya turned and smiled at me, but I didn't smile back. In fact, I moved my chair away from her and turned and looked out the window. No one invited them to sit by them at lunch, or to even play at recess. The weeks passed, and every day we would whisper about Maya, and we wouldn't invite her to play. So Maya played jacks by herself. She jump roped by herself. Every day, she played alone. One day, Maya's seat was empty. Later in class that day, our teacher was talking to us about kindness. Our teacher brought out a big bowl and put it on her desk. It was filled with water. And as we gathered around her desk, she dropped a small stone into the water. Tiny waves rippled out. This is what kindness does. Each kind thing we do, like a ripple, goes out into the world. Did you see that? Yeah, it did. Days passed and still no Maya. Each day I hoped this would be the day that Maya would return, and she'd smile at me, and I'd smile back. But then one day, our teacher said Maya would not be coming back. Her family had to move away. That afternoon, I walked home alone. When I reached the pond, my throat filled with all the things I wish I would have said to Maya. Each kindness I never had shown. I threw small stones into the pond, over and over, watching the way the water rippled out and away. Like each kindness, done and not done. like every little girl or boy somewhere holding a gift out to someone, and that someone turning away. The beauty of stories is that we can learn lessons from them. So let's just pretend for today you go to your RE class and someone new walks in the door. What could you do? What could you do before you drop your stone in?
Say hello.
What would you do?
I would play with my friends.
You would play with them? You have an idea? Stone in. You know what? You're going to get a stone in Sunday school or in RE to remind you about kindness. Have an idea? What could you do?
I want to dance.
And out into the world ripple all those kindnesses. So let's sing our children. Well, nope, we're first going to light the children's chalice.
We light this second chalice so that as our children and youth go to their chapels, they carry the light of our flame with them. May it illuminate, inspire, and warm you as it does us. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. We now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which sustains this community and its mission to the larger world. Thank you, Michelina. Very beautiful. We will now kindle our candles of care. Each time we gather as a congregation, there are always those who are with us in our hearts and in our minds, and who we want to wrap in our love and care. And we kindle a candle for them this morning. Let us share a moment in silence, embracing others who are here and here in our hearts and minds this morning. You are welcome to say their names aloud as you are willing. Those named aloud and those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering elsewhere in our world at this hour, we hold in our community of compassion. As we move into our time of meditation, I encourage you to find a comfortable position. Put your feet on the floor, close your eyes if you wish. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. And reflect on these words from the PBS series called The Midwife, Season 7, Episode 5. Fear can keep us tethered. Terror can clip our wings. But trust eases pain. Hope can lighten the sky. Love makes us courageous. And what matters most is not whether we hide or fly, or even where our journey takes us, but what guides us home and where we come to land. Our reading this morning is in the turquoise hymnal, number 1037. We're going to be doing this a little bit differently. This is going to be a responsive reading, and Debbie will give you the instructions.
So the congregational response in this reading is a musical one. And I would like us to practice it just a little bit so that you'll have a better shot at taking note of the beautiful and meaningful words that Gordon will be saying. So first we're going to say them. We forgive ourselves and each other. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We begin again in love. And this is how it sounds. And sing it twice through with me. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin once again. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our fears have made us rigid and inaccessible.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time we have struck out in anger without just cause.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For the selfishness that set us apart and alone.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For falling short of the admonitions of the Spirit.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For losing sight of our unity.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Thank you, John. That was very beautiful. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker this morning, Leek. Lucas is the Transgender Health and Community Coordinator at Planned Parenthood of Greater Washington in Northern Idaho. He's a founding member on the leadership committee of Washington Safe Alliance Spokane chapter. SAFE is the Safety and Access for Everyone. A Spokane Trans People Board member, a member of GRAIN, which is Gender Resource Alliance of the Inland Northwest. The interim co-chair of Spokane TALL, which is Transgender Advocacy, Learning and Leadership, and a member of the Pride Foundation's Transform Washington Initial Advisory Committee. Lucas is a primary gender and sexual diversity educator and trainer in Spokane, Washington. He has presented to groups and organizations across Eastern Washington regarding sexual diversity, gender diversity, and cultural humility, with an emphasis on how to be nice to each other. Lucas has a master's degree in social work from Eastern Washington University. So please join me at this time in welcoming Lucas this morning.
Sorry, I should have got this all figured out ahead of time. Okay. All right, thank you for having me today. Can I just start by stating that I am very uncomfortable right now? Like, very uncomfortable. Most people that know me, pretty much anyone who knows me, would not think to ever look for me standing here on a Sunday morning, right here. Yeah. I'm uncomfortable today, not because of anything that anyone in this room has said or done, not because anyone in this room has been unkind or made me feel unwelcome. I am uncomfortable today because of people in my past who did so in environments like this. They judged me, told me I was unwelcome based on the way I dressed, the way I spoke, the behaviors that I had, the habits that I had developed. And many times, they told me I was unwelcome because of who I am, the piece of me that I cannot change, the piece of me that said I am a he, him, even when the world never saw me that way. Our past and the experiences in our past, for everyone, influences our present. How we see that, how we see ourselves, how we navigate the world and our environment. It's very powerful. We bring with us the emotions around those experiences to our present. And our present has the same impact on our future. So I avoided situations like this like the plague. Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to go. I don't need to do that anymore, right? As a friend of mine says, if every time you put your foot out, someone stomps on your toe, eventually you stop putting your foot out. Thankfully, these places weren't very important to me, so it really didn't mean that much to me to lose them, to avoid them. Then I started dating this woman, and I really liked her. And right out the gate, she says to me, "Do you want to go to church with me?" But I really liked her, so naturally, I went to church. That's what we do. And I learned a lot, and I found out I got to know this church, and this church was welcoming and affirming, non-judgmental, and I was like, wow, I didn't know this actually could exist. We went quite a while, and I got really into this church. Still strikes me as funny. I even joined the bell choir and rang bells. All in, right? Well, then things changed. And the church did some things that I wasn't comfortable with. Not to me, but to someone I knew and someone I care about. So I stopped going. And I was okay with that. And they're done that, check it off, right? But I learned something during that time that I didn't expect. I learned that church, or a gathering place where people come together on Sunday mornings, whatever you call that, it's not about the person standing here talking into the microphone. The power in that place does not come from your speaker of the day. Sure, sometimes somebody says something that is a real zinger and it gets you, and you're like, wow, that was meant for my ears. This is creepy. But the power in this place is in you. It is in the coming together. It is in the feeling like you belong, feeling like people are happy to see you each week. It's being able to check in on someone going through a rough patch. It's being able to have the opportunity to meet new friends, new people. It's kindness, acceptance. That's the power of these places. I didn't see that coming. Each of you in this room today holds that power for each other. So as I was sitting in front of my laptop at 2:30 in the morning trying to figure out what the heck I was going to say today, with ideas bouncing around in my skull like a pinball machine, squirreling like crazy, my phone and my email was blowing up the whole time. The first thing that was going on was plans for Thanksgiving. We all know how that is, right? Where are we going to put people? What room can we put the air mattress in? What are we going to make? Wait, who's coming in? When? What was Dan's partner's name again? Right? And many of you are going through that same thing right now, going, oh man. But really, what Thanksgiving is and what it stands for is the togetherness and the tradition. Look at any media source. It's all about being thankful for what you have, the people that you love, spending time with those folks. It doesn't talk about what Uncle Joe said at the Thanksgiving table 3 years ago, that we try not to talk about. But nevertheless, it's about that togetherness, that bond. So my phone is blowing up how to do this. Our kiddos are coming in. I'm pretty excited about that. Can't wait. My phone was also going off about Friendsgivings that are in the area. So, a lot of folks don't have that family to go to. They don't have that place where they feel welcomed and affirmed and safe and loved at the holiday. So some folks got together and they said, well, let's make a Friendsgiving. And we will bring folks together that have no one else. Whether that was their own personal choice to not be with their family, whether that was their family's choice based on who they are or what they look like, telling them not to come back. Whether that was just something as simple as, hey, I'm too busy, I got 3 jobs and 4 kids, and I can't possibly make that happen. Or whether the tradition just isn't quite the same now that Grandma's gone. So we open a space for folks like that to come together, to feel that togetherness, that warmness, that kindness, and to not be alone. The third thing that my email and my phone was going on about was TDOR. That stands for the Transgender Day of Remembrance, which is on November 20th. Every year we come together to remember and to read the names of those transgender individuals who lost their lives this year to anti-trans violence. We have 21 on the list this year. That's not all of them. Many folks are misreported by the authorities or the family. So there's more than that. That number does not include those who took their own life. It does not include those who were beaten, harassed, disowned. Doesn't include any of those. This is just the ones who were murdered. Mostly trans women of color. It's a very heavy evening. It's very sad, impactful, emotionally. That impact, however, isn't because I am thin-skinned. It isn't because I'm overly sensitive. That emotional impact is because it is wrong. We should not have to have these memorials for people who paid the ultimate price of hate and oppression. So my phone is blowing up with all three of these, and I thought, well, that's a perfect opportunity. Because today I have a message about kindness, togetherness, acceptance, being humble, and being there for those who may not have anyone else. So let's talk about what it is to be humble. I actually found this quote on a meme on the internet, and so I can't quote a source, but I liked it. Being humble means recognizing that we are not on this earth to see how important we can become, but to see how much of a difference we can make in the lives of others. It's a good quote. And as I read that quote, I had again pinball balls going through my head going, wow, how many ways are there to show that you care and to make a difference in someone else's life? Man, I had all these ideas, and then I got to thinking about it, and every one of them that I could think of was rooted in kindness. Every one. That's the foundation. And the good news is we practice kindness all the time. We do it, don't even think about it. We say thank you to the barista when she hands our coffee to us. We say excuse me when we need to get someone's attention. We say, oh, pardon me, or I'm so sorry when we accidentally bump into somebody. We hold doors for strangers. We allow cars to come into the lane ahead of us. We practice kindness all the time, so we're good at it. Cultural humility takes that a step higher. It is the act of setting aside your understanding to allow another's in. It's making an active effort to listen to marginalized people and their experiences and the emotions around those experiences. It's recognizing how our actions and words affect others and doing our best to minimize a negative impact on them. It's going beyond the golden rule of treat others the way that you would like to be treated, and taking it up to the platinum rule, which is treat others how they would like to be treated. Cultural humility is understanding that regardless of how much you know about someone else, bifocals. Okay, where is it? Oh, or how much you think you know about the experience and the challenges they have faced, even if you yourself have experienced some of those similar things, that their experience and the way they see that experience is valid and important. It is the understanding that every person has a unique set of experiences in their journey, both good and bad, and that the lens they see their environment in is tinted by those experiences. Cultural humility challenges you to do better. There is no checklist where you check the boxes off to say, I got this. It is not a set of behaviors to be followed or words to understand the meaning of. It is lifelong learning and the willingness to do so. It involves risk feeling embarrassed or awkward, making mistakes, and you will make mistakes. It involves doing it anyway and having that conversation. It involves getting to know a person that normally you would not have any other time, and having that conversation and opening yourself to that person to get to know them. Myself, there are so many more things about us that are similar than they are different. Yes, I happen to be a trans man. I am transgender. I am also 53 years old. I am a parent. I am engaged to a beautiful and brilliant scientist. I drive a Toyota Tacoma. I hate Brussels sprouts and kale. I love a good microbrew and a barbecue, and the value that I see in my life is the people that I surround myself with. Many of us can connect on one or more of those things. It's finding that connection. It's the understanding and the acceptance that no matter how much you try to do right, how kind you are, how careful you are, how much you practice with your partner, that you're still going to mess up. And you may very well hurt somebody unintentionally. Being open to hearing how your words or your actions landed and affected somebody else, regardless of how you meant those words or those actions. That's intention versus impact. Most of us don't want to unintentionally hurt somebody, but it happens. Being open to how those words or those behaviors landed and vowing to do better, it's that easy. The cost is pretty minimal. You may be saying right now, thinking to yourself, this political correctness is getting out of hand. And trust me, I've heard a lot of these firsthand. Why do I have to do all this? Sounds like a lot of work, and you're telling me that I'm still going to mess it up. Why can't everyone just get along? Why should I care? Or seriously, just suck it up. If there is no other reason for you to do this, to make this commitment, to stretch yourself, risk being awkward and embarrassed and making mistakes, it's the littles that I just watched down here on the floor. These littles that sat around a dish of water dropping stones and thinking about kindness. They mimic you. They follow your lead. So if you can do not for yourself or for someone you love or someone you know, do it for the littles, because they're going to grow. There's a saying that you are not in the crowd, you are the crowd. And to the person looking to your crowd, right here, and wondering if it's a good fit for them, what do you want them to see? Do you want to see a person welcoming and supporting others? Do you want them to see a place that they could call home and individuals that they could care about and who would care about them? Or do you want them to see a crowd who, as Musa said in 2018, is morally lazy and does nothing to grow? One who refuses to re-examine their beliefs and make any effort to change. One who accepts and supports the status quo and the marginalization of certain individuals, even those they have never met. From one who has experienced how lonely it can be to stand in a crowd who does not accept you or want you there. One that does not value you or anything that you can bring to it. A crowd that does not believe that you are deserving of basic respect. I hope you will all choose to open your arms to those who may be different than you in some way. Those who would love to feel included and cared about, and those who have so much to give and are just searching for a crowd to give it to. William Wordsworth wrote a poem entitled "I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud" in 1807. In this poem, he speaks of wandering through the countryside lonely and feeling very, very down, and coming across a field of daffodils, fluttering and dancing on the breeze. 10,000 of them, in fact. He speaks of how wonderful it was to gaze on them at that moment, but he did not actually realize the impact they had on him until later, when he was laying on his couch feeling vacant and pensive. And he reflected back to the experience, which filled his heart with joy. I hope that you do not allow these times to divide you, and that you can find the togetherness of your crowd. Not only heal those who have been hurt, but also to grow and stretch yourselves to do better, and to be the daffodil in someone's world. Thank you.
Please rise for our closing hymn of the day, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a love in mind, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Our closing words today are seasonally modified from a Roger Cooper tweet in August of 2018. Could we, without relentlessly criticizing, let people have their pumpkin spice and avocado toast and their fandoms and their D&D and their too early Christmas decorations and whatever little harmless things in which they've managed to find a tiny shriveled flower of joy. Amen. Blessed be. Salam alaikum and shalom.
Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Haverim, Shalom Haverim, Shalom, Shalom.
Gotta check them flowers out, boy. They were sent to Carol. Yeah.